Good day, dear students. I am Jeksenbay Noshash, Senior Lecturer of Department of the Technology Food Products. And today our lecture from the discipline Sensory Analysis is the sense of touch or texture and kinetics. So in the plan of our lecture, we will talk about the sense of touch, some textural terminology, and interesting facts about it. So first of all, what is the touch? So touch is the sense, is the most important that we could have. And in everything what we do, we need to touch and feel our touch abilities, and can never go away or fade with the time. So first, which is the important is finger feels. So we can feel the ripeness of level of the fruits, such as avocado or mango, cramp texture of bread, firmness of cheese, spread ability of butter or spread, and etc. By the mouth feel, we can feel the liquid viscosity, if it is thin viscose, for example, as a milk, cream, and consistency, and thin to thick, fruit, yogurts, etc. So in our mouth feeling, we take a take a part with our receptors in our tongue, so we can feel the thin or thickness of the spreading the material. Yeah, so if it is milk, of course, it will be very thin, or if it is viscosity is more higher, so it will be thick layers of the food products. And uh, next is mouth feel, about what's related to the solids. So it's assessed mainly by chewing. So by the chewing, we can feel how many forces we can use to chew it. And those is group of perceptions is generally described as the sense of touch. It can be divided into some theses. So it's the tactile sense and skin feel. And kinesthesis, it's the deep pressure sense of the proprioception, with both sensing variation is physical pressure. So the stimuli of this physical contact between the food and body tissue, and there are several types of the nerve ending in the skin surface: epidermis, dermis, and subcutaneous tissue. So this surface nerve ends are responsible for the sympathetic sensation called a touch, pressure, heat, cold, itching, and tickling. So deep pressure kinesthesis is felt through the nerve fibers in muscles, tendons, and joints, whose main purpose is to sense the tension and the relaxation of the muscles. So kinesthesis perception corresponding to the mechanical movement, muscles, heaviness, hardness, thickness, and etc. So as we understand, it's all of our receptors of muscles and nerves in the mouth and fingers and in our skins all over. So as a perception, we take the touch, feel, and the texture, viscosity, and the other parameters of the food products. So the surface sensitivity of our lips, tongue, face, hand is much greater than that the other areas of the body, so resulting in ease of detection of smoke, force differences, size differences, and thermal and chemical differences from hand and oral manipulation of products. So as instrumental methods only measure one aspect of the texture, and again can't relate to the complex interactions which produce the perception of food texture. So here are some textural examples. So those touch can be divided into 4 different categories: cold, heat, contract, and pain. So as you can imagine, our dermis, epidermis, and how does the skin and how it is a touch. So in our skin, we have the nerve, sweet pore, and then under there's we can epidermis and dermis, and there is situated the nerve. So we can feel by those receptors, and which is giving a signal for our brain. So the dermis indicated as a hot, cold, pain, and pressure. So all of this, of course, it's the just relatively comparing. So it's the hotter or colder, or it's more pain or less, and pressure, and about the pressure too. So what about the texture terminology? Is the mechanical characteristics as a hardness. It's divided it's soft, firm, and hard. So for example, fruit ripeness, cheese maturity, and next is brittleness. It's crumbly, crunchy, brittle. It can be about the muesli bars and biscuits. And the chewiness, if it is tender, chewy, and taut. For example, about the meat, when we describe it. And grittiness, it's the gritty, grainy, coarse, for example, stone cells in the fruits, sand in ice cream, etc. Fibrousness, it's fibrous, cellular, for example, string in fiber in the vegetables, which is not chewable. Or next is moistness. It can be divided in dry, moist, wet. For example, cracker biscuits, cheeses, watermelon. And then oiliness, greasiness. It's the oily, greasy, fatty. For example, for the describing for French fries and chips. So what about the interesting fact about the touch sense? It's that in the middle of our back, in the least sensitive part of our body, and our neck and hands, lips, feet, tongue, and fingertips are the most sensitive body parts. So, of course, if we are trained the parts to be to the touch senses, of course, it will be more sensitive. So those parts are more sensitive because they have interaction with the materials, or have the take a part in the role to the evaluate those parameters. So that's why they are most sensitive parts on our body. And there is no more pain nerve than any other nerve. And in our fingertips, there are approximately 100 touch receptors. So we can feel using those nerves in our fingers. So thank you for your attention, and wish you good luck with the tests that you will have from this lecture.